Hi, Instagram. We had massive tech issue. Hi, Facebook. I am here again. I deleted the other video. We're just going to start over again. So, happy Sunday morning coffee with Caryn. Get your kombucha, get your tea. We are jumping right into this today. We are going to be talking about how you actually can have a real plan, an actual plan in who you're going to be, how you're going to serve, and what your role is going to be in this new world. We don't know what this world is going to look like. We have no idea how many of us are going to actually end up going back to work. Like, I work from home, but I don't know how many of my massage clients are going to come back after this. I don't know how many of my clients might have found someone else or aren't going to be able to afford me anymore, aren't going to be able to come get the services because I don't know what's going on in their lives. And luckily for me, I do have my second business, right? I do run a very successful super conscious leadership mentoring business where I teach those of you who are very metaphysical, very woo-woo and witchy to step out into the public eye to become community and industry leaders. If you want to be the person in your industry, then you come to me so I can help you heal those witch wounds, heal those healer wounds, heal all of the wounds of persecution from all of the different lifetimes. You know what I'm talking about if you're watching this. I am always talking to those of you who are wanting to expand your brain. You want to work with the other 95% of your brain. You want to work with inner earth beings, and you want to work with intergalactic beings, and you want to see world peace, and maybe you watched and read a whole lot of Harry Potter when you were a kid or Star Trek, and you've always kind of been able to see how science and magic are so interrelated, how awesome it is now that you're older, how often you find things that science proves that you've already been doing for years because you're a badass metaphysician. But now you can see that this is this opportunity. We have this opportunity for us to really step up as leaders. But one downfall of most witches and wizards that I know, they are not type A personalities. They are not great. They're amazing visionaries, but they're not great doers. I know a whole lot of why people, but not that many how people are also stepping into that leadership role, or the why people don't understand that they need how people. We don't, that unity, that conglomeration, because so many of us in the entrepreneurial world of also being openly, I hate the term woo-woo, but you know what I'm talking about when I say that, right? When we're openly talking about our tarot and our light work and our dark work and shadow work and Jungian psychology and Freudian psychology and how we're making the unconscious conscious, when we do all of that, add in astrology and all of those other things, we start stirring up in our bodies a whole lot of stuff from past lives when being a heretic got you burned at the stake or drowned in a lake, right? Being a heretic nowadays is the only way that you're going to stand out in the crowd. You are going to have to learn how to have haters, okay? Because the haters gonna hate. Like it's gonna, right? I think that's what you do. I'm just going to shake it off because you know why you're here, okay? So many of us have this global mission. We have this divine mission that we're stepping into. But here's the problem. We can see too far. I was talking about this on my live stream yesterday. I have glasses. I wear glasses. They are prescription glasses. They are not thin by any stretch of the imagination. These are thick, like, look at that. They're thick glasses, y'all. And I am actually, is it happening again? No, sorry, someone that was on the other live just saw me. Long time no see, I know, Lilac. I saw you. So I have these glasses, but when I was 5, when my parents took me to the optometrist and they realized that I needed glasses, the optometrist told my parents that I'm so farsighted that I'm actually nearsighted. So what that, I'm going to take these off because I hate the glare that the spotlight makes. But what I'm going to tell you is that That's like you're telling a little kid that you're so farsighted that you're nearsighted. And then you learn, like for myself, that I've been here for 80,000 consecutive lifetimes. I am a blueprint deliverer. I have been one of the only souls here that has had the organic blueprint in my DNA, and I haven't let the files be corrupted. And now I'm reaching up and being able to connect more and more to that. And as such, my foresight, being my farsightedness, my foresight, my psychic abilities, right? My ability to see into the future, I can see when we are very much like the Federation of Planets in Star Trek. I can see when our planet, we are all humans together, you know, earthlings, instead of trying to say that, oh, I'm an American and I'm an Irishman and I'm an Italian and I'm from South America. And, you know, I'm Peruvian, I'm Brazilian, I'm Japanese, I'm Russian. Like, we're just gonna stop associating that way and be like, well, we're all from Earth. There's some Arcturians, there's some Syrians, there's Orions, there's Lyrans, there's you know, then there's dragons. You have to add in all the magical creatures too. Dragons and unicorns operate at a higher dimension, while fairies and elves and gnomes, they reside in a lower dimension, like the devas, they're in the earth. It's like the numbers make us feel like it's like better if you're in a higher dimension, but it's not. You're in the third dimension, and there's all these other dimensions like around you. It's not even like a hierarchy. It's just how our human brain can process it the best when we're trying to get this information to lock in past the ego structures and past the logic, right? So I just want to be able to see the comments on Facebook. Sorry, y'all. Make sure you guys share this out to your friends. Tell me hi when you're here. I don't like to take the time to share it because it sucks. So if you're in any of the groups that I'm in with you, like, go ahead and share it out. I love that. Or if you're in any of my groups, you want to share it in that group, go ahead. So why am I telling you all of this? Again, because we have foresight. A lot of us have gone out there and we've been able to see the future, essentially, right? We see it, we know it so clearly in our dreams. We go to bed every night and we're hanging out with inner earth beings, we're hanging out with star beings, we're seeing when there is no poverty, we see the sex slave being obliterated, we see the viral codes being crushed, we see all the corruption being annihilated, like neutralized. Really, it's not even annihilation, it's just neutralizing. It's like turning all of the, like, what happens when you have a virus in your computer, right? Like, you're deleting files, yeah, and clearing up space, but like that's just zeros and ones. And once the zeros and ones are deleted, there's just going to be new ones, right? So it's this neutralization. We're not destroying the Armageddon timeline. The Armageddon timeline just cannot happen. So all of these things like COVID-19 that maybe you've heard was supposed to like be something that wiped out the whole planet, I'm sure that in another timeline it does. Or all the stuff that's going on with the central banking system in America right now that no one really seems to know what's happening. I'm sure like all these conspiracy theories out there that go to the very deep, dark, like horrible, like it's them against us and they win, I'm sure in different timelines played out. But in this timeline right here, right now, ever since January of this year, the Armageddon timeline can't. It doesn't exist. We're only going towards the ascension. We are only moving towards the Gaia, moving into the fifth dimension. But we have a whole lot of things to do in between that, people. So many people that I'm talking to are like, it's going to happen by Easter. No. No, we are not prepared. We are like starting the beginning. It's like what I said a few weeks ago. All these light workers around the world are visualizing this grand, amazing empire and this beautiful mansion, and they're just ready to go in and do the interior decorating. While some of us are still out here like, the scaffolding isn't even finished, y'all. Like, I don't know where you're going to bring that paint because we are just barely done laying the foundation and now we're trying to build up, right? So that's where you have to have a plan. Anybody notice that the census is going around right now in America? Okay, what is the census even for? The census is so they can plan budgeting. I just heard a census commercial right before I got on here where they're talking about soon we're going to be going back. You know, soon we'll be going back to sporting events and the kids will be back in school and you'll be going back to work and things like that. Like, I don't think she ever said we'll be going back to normal, but it was pretty much like, please fill out the census so that when things go back, we can know where to allocate funds, because the census is to know where everyone is, know how everyone's doing, how many people are in each area, what's their age demographic, what is it that they need, and then allocate the like billions and billions and trillions of dollars of the federal funding gets decided for the next 10 years based on the census. And the census is happening right now while all this other stuff is happening too. How many people are pretty sure that they're actually never going to go back to work? Like, my husband is now pretty sure that he's just going to have to figure out working from home permanently because his boss is very his boss lives in California, actually, even though we're in Utah, and he's very eco-minded. So he's like, what if we only had you guys come in like once a week for a meeting? You know, Zoom meetings only work so well, or what if this, that, and the other? So they're not having to run these cars. Like, the air quality in Salt Lake has been amazing ever since this happened. Same thing in China. Like, my kids can't breathe the air here. We've been thinking about moving for a couple of years because it gets so bad. Salt Lake is the worst air quality in the country during the winter time, which is crazy. You wouldn't think that because of the mountains, because everyone goes and takes pictures up in the mountains and it's clear up there. It's in the actual valley. This inversion layer of smog gets trapped by the cold air and it just sits, and we're literally like, my house is, we're just sitting there breathing in the pollution from all the cars. It's disgusting. That hasn't happened because everyone's not driving. I can drive to my appointment that's on every other Friday, and normally it's just bumper to bumper traffic. And I've been able to leave there with leave my house 20 minutes, no problem to get there, instead of having to leave an hour before my appointment because, you know, there's so much traffic and you never know. Yeah, the air is getting better, but it's only getting better because everyone's locked in their houses, Amy. It's not better normally. So what do we have to do to plan? Okay, planning is so important. So let's jump into that. I love acronyms, okay? I am a mom, I am a homeschooler. I have taken so many marketing courses from all these brilliant non-woo women and been able to start converting that. Like, okay, so if I'm a psychic, like I was saying, we have all this foresight, but how many of you are blocked, right? Like, what did my optometrist say? I'm so farsighted that I'm nearsighted. So for me, what that means is I can see things like directly in front of me, and my peripheral is like, even though I had peripheral vision, the peripheral things, when they test me at the, like when you get your driver's license, I'm always like nervous that I'm going to do it wrong because I know that my peripheral vision isn't as good as it could be. And I know that in a way, like my third eye, I get very tunnel vision-y, like, okay, I'm just like going to put my blinders on and focus on this. And putting your blinders on is good at certain points if you're just like in consumption mode and not creating. But sometimes when you're trying to create something, your blinders are they're too on, and then you like get boxed in and you like can't see any other solution. If your way doesn't work, it's just the end of the world and you blow up and you freak out. Again, because there wasn't a planning phase. Metaphysicians, witches, wizards, we are bad at planning. It is okay. It is okay to be bad at planning. It's okay to have like blocks that are right here in front of you that you're like, I just don't understand why I can't get around you. That's fine. Because when you make a plan, it opens the doors, it opens your ability. So I want you guys to grab out a piece of paper and write down PLAN down the side of it. Plan. PLAN. Okay. P is for prepare. Okay, my dad's favorite saying is prepare for the worst, expect the worst, and if the worst doesn't happen, then you lucked out this time. I was a pretty pessimistic view of the world, and don't get me wrong, I spent lots of time in therapy with that one. But what he was really trying to say is that if you're not prepared for all the different circumstances and you get caught off guard, it can bite you in the ass. And we all know this. So I'm not saying to prepare for the worst and expect the worst, but when you're sitting there making a plan for how you're going to get from where you are right now as a entrepreneur to the person in business, the leading person in your industry, the leader of your community, which is again what I help you do. I help you go from being a part of the crowd to standing up out of the crowd as a beacon for others to see what is actually capable, what humans are actually capable of doing when they have a plan, as well as the supernatural forces helping them simultaneously. Again, how many people besides Marianne Williamson in the last few years can you say have stepped out into public service while also maintaining their spiritual side, right? Like, she's a very spiritual person and she was out real fast. But I would love to see more people like Marianne Williamson running. Or maybe you're a super disruptive person like I am. Like, I like to disrupt systems and be that heretic, be the one that's like, are you sure? Like, do you want to think about that? Really? Like, let's think about the consequences, right? So this is what I do. I'm a mom. I teach other moms how to deal with their kids who are they're light workers already. They didn't pass through the veil. So a lot of my clients are also witchy moms that are like, I think my only role is to help my kids, and my kids are going to be the ones that are taking these leadership positions. But that's assuming I don't kill them first, because they are driving me up the wall, because parenting in this day and age is totally different. And then if you don't know how to parent yourself, you definitely don't know how to be able to be a parent to a little kid right now. But that's leadership. Leadership is leadership is leadership. That's one of my favorite sayings ever, because it's true. The leadership skills I learned being a stay-at-home mom of 3 homeschooling are the exact same skills that I teach my multi-million-dollar clients who are going to be running for elected office in the next few years. Yeah, we make some tweaks, but the foundation is the same. And that foundation is knowing that you're worthy of keeping your word, but you have to have a word to keep. So we're going to be getting there, but kind of file that one away. So P in plan is prepare. You need to be prepared. This means getting all your ducks in a row, right? Not putting all your eggs in one basket, but getting all your ducks in a row. Meaning, you want to make $100,000 this month? Well, do you have a bank account? Do you have an LLC? Do you know how much money you're going to need to put away for taxes? Is that $100,000 cash, or is that booked? Do you see how that request, like, because again, we all know how to manifest. We all understand law of attraction. I want to create $100,000. I want $100,000 in my bank account. You got to be specific. How do you want it? When do you want it? Where do you want it? It's like the universe is your sex buddy who wants to just nothing but to give you pleasure all the time. But you got to tell your partner where you like it. Oh yeah, baby, just nibble me right here on my neck. Oh yeah, I love it when you just like grab me right here. Oh yeah, can you just, just smack my ass a little bit. The more that you play with your partner by telling your partner what you want, by getting that turn on revved up, by getting every part of you on board with what's happening, the faster you feel more pleasure, that you expand into a higher level of sensation, and then you get to have more. A lot of us are not okay with more pleasure. We have been taught how to have a lot of pain, and we don't realize that the pain pleasure threshold it's the same thing. Like if hot and cold are on a degrees, and high and low are on a degrees, and black and white are on a degrees, then pain and pleasure, they are on a degree. So however much you think that you have as a pain threshold, you actually also have Newton's third law, equal and opposite reaction, right? You have an opposite level of pleasure. It's just that society considers you a heretic if you openly admit your pleasure, if you're bragging, if you're being sensual, if you're being embodied, if you have a lot of money, you're considered trashy and materialistic and all this stuff. Some of the most wealthy people I know right now are also some of the most spiritual ones I know, because that file has been deleted. You no longer have to be a starving healer. You no longer have to give your healing gifts away for free. In fact, the more money that you make, the more you can know that your own base needs are met. Again, this is preparing. You know that your own base needs are met, then you can easily give to others, right? That's why I tell my clients, don't just aim for one, like for $100,000. I want you to add up all of your debt, including the mortgage on your house. And we're going to start working towards that, because you're not going to be financially stable until you're debt free. I don't say financially free because honestly, I don't want to be free from finances. I want to have lots and lots of finances, but I do want to be free of debt. I don't want my money to be going to anyone else except for what I want it to. I've lived in this house for almost 30 years and the bank still fucking owes it. I hate it. So we're going to be buying this house as fast as possible. So prepare. Have all your ducks in a row. Have a place for the money to go. Have those things set up. The paperwork. Light workers fucking hate paperwork. Magicians hate paperwork because, again, we see above it all a lot. And so we don't want to work within the bureau. We're trying to change the world, man. Why should I have to pay my taxes? Okay, well, if you're not going to play the game, then don't play the game. But don't be mad when you keep losing the game too. Like Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if you would rather sit on the sidelines bitching about how the rules are unfair, great, go at it. But then I'm not the person for you, and you should probably not spend the next 20 minutes listening to the rest of what I have to say. But if you are someone who wants to learn how to play the game and then get in the system and change it from the inside out, while lots of other people are doing all of this energy work on the outside, right? There's going to be a ton of people who never want to work with me. That is fine. I am looking for those people who are willing to go be those undercover agents, those secret spies inside the government, but instead of being spies for the government that are causing horrendous dark cabal type shit going on, we're light workers. We're alchemists, we're magicians, we're in there doing the work from the inside, so that whenever whatever happens, it's a very smooth transition for the rest of the population to move from what our current system is to whatever our new system is. But that takes more of us getting together and like collaborating and corroborating our stories. Like, is this what you see? Is this what I see? So we can get a more compact view instead of this like, oh, it's just going to be a free world and we're all going to be sovereign. Okay, so there's no accountability anywhere? Like, nothing? How's that going to happen? Like, how are we just all going to automatically like not do the thing that makes us human, which is live in duality? It's not that we're not going to be like, we don't know what it's like to live in the fifth dimension. All I do know is that it's definitely not what it is right now, and it's not going to change overnight. It's going to take some time. It's going to take linear time to get our whole collective conscious. We just barely reached the tipping point where Armageddon isn't happening. It's going to take several golden ages, even if the golden ages aren't as long as they used to be. Several golden ages for us to collectively be at a level where we can move this whole planet into the fifth dimension. She's recalibrating, don't get me wrong, but people who are saying that it's going to happen in the next month, I think are out of their goddamn minds. Okay, so P is prepared. L is lighten up. I don't know if you guys notice this about me, but I smile a lot. I laugh a lot. I don't give a shit. I don't care. So while I want to change the world, it's not like I'm not going to be a better person if I change the world. I might be different if I end up being the leader of the free world. If I end up being on a non-corrupt intergalactic version of the UN that actually has some sort of power to help with whatever mores and laws we create in this next age, right? But a lot of people are so fucking serious, y'all. If I'm an internal being, again, I'm using your own language, your own beliefs, so listen to me. You believe you are an eternal being living a game of life on America, on the earth. Why are you so serious? Like, all I can think about is Heath Ledger as the Joker right now. Why so serious? Like, lighten the fuck up, guys. This is a game. Dragon energy, which is what I teach, dragons are toddlers, okay? They are the best example of the type of energy that you need to be able to channel. Toddlers are fully embodied in what it is that they're doing in any given moment. Toddlers have no concept of time. Toddlers create the most beautiful, crazy looking things you ever saw. Toddlers destroy just as much as they just create because they understand that it's all the same. Everything's a game. They are lighthearted. They throw their temper tantrums and they're able to move on. They don't hold on to that shit. They're not like ruminating 8 hours later about the fight they got into with their brother. That's dragon energy. That before you learn the difference between boys and girls, before you learn what good and bad really are, before you understand what illusion is versus reality. When reality is really like, how many of us were just told like, oh, that's all in your head. Okay, great. Yeah, so's my channeling that I do. I don't have like an actual dragon ever standing in my room, but I know that I'm speaking with dragons. I know I'm connected to them. So a lot of those things we were taught, those terms that were pushed into our bodies, we have to remember, like, if you are connecting to that psychic gift, that foresight, and you're trying to fill in the blanks, then you need to be okay with being in your head. You need to be okay with appearing crazy. And, do crazy people care that you think they're crazy? No. The people that care that you think are crazy are the ones that actually aren't crazy, probably. Because they have enough, like, give a shit left to care that you think they're crazy. So you have to lighten up. The other thing, and lighten up, just like lighten up in your mission. Okay, oh, I know I'm here to change the world. So that means I have to put everybody else or all of my own personal needs aside so I can be of service. No, 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 no. You cannot fill from an empty cup. I can't take this cup and give it to you. There's nothing in here for you. There's nothing, I can't give this to you. But if that was filled with water and I'm a magician that's ever filling it, so this is an always fill the site like, then yeah, I could pour it, it'd be empty, and then I would just, but that's because I'm a magician. So I know that even when my energy gets depleted, I was up until 2 a.m. doing channeling work and all this stuff for a global meditation last night. And then I'm here again, up, ready to take on the day and do this with you, right? I didn't used to be able to do that. I would have canceled. I wouldn't have stayed up till 2 o'clock. Like, I wasn't able to have this ever filling reserve of energy. That's the other thing about being lighter. When you're not dense, when you don't have that density around you of, well, what are they going to think? Or what if maybe this is going to happen? Or I don't know if that's going to happen. Or I don't know if this is going to happen. That's just heavy. It's a density. I cured myself of fibromyalgia. I understand density. I understand pain. I understand that heaviness of I don't even want to wake up in the morning. I was suicidal for most of my life. Never really admitted to it, but there were many times when nobody was around that I would be sitting in my bathroom with a thing of aspirin and a bottle of vodka and a bottle of aspirin, like weighing options. Or, I wonder if there's enough cracks in my garage that if I turned on my car that it wouldn't even matter. These thoughts would go through my head all the time because I was so clouded with what the 3D world wanted me to be. I wasn't a good enough mom. I wasn't thin enough. I wasn't pretty enough. I wasn't good enough at sex. I didn't go to college. I didn't do any of the things I wanted to be when I was a little girl. I got knocked up when I was 19. All of these things just weighed so heavy on me. I weighed almost 200 pounds. I was not like, I was a frumpy hippie, like didn't wear a bra, didn't wear makeup. I thought I didn't give a fuck, but I did. I literally just like given up. And so it was better to just look like I gave up and pretend that I didn't give a fuck instead of putting in any effort because of this intense fear of failure that was ingrained into me just by being a millennial. Millennials have like anxiety, performance anxiety higher than any other group. We had all of these like forced interactions, but we couldn't just go out and play because of all the fear of some pedophile. So all of these things weighed on me, which is why I couldn't see past what was happening. I was so nearsighted to only what was happening. And when you can only see that every day is the same fucking day over and over, and you feel like you're living Groundhog's Day, but Groundhog's Day sucks, of course you're suicidal. Of course you're depressed. And then you know that fibromyalgia is actually a physicalization of PTSD or a physicalization of anxiety and depression. Your mental blocks are so heavy that they are permeating your physical body. That's what fibromyalgia really is on an energetic level. And I know this because I've cured myself of it. It has been over 2.5 years since I have had a flare. I don't have to smoke weed all day, every day, just to kind of function as a sort of normal member of society. Okay. And as I say that, my neck's all like, so you have to lighten up. Okay, if you're mentally blocked, if you feel mentally weighed down by all this stuff that I can't pay my bills, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, that's heaviness. And you're never going to be able to plan the future. You're never going to be able to plan how you're going to be a leader of the next golden age of miracles when you're bogged down by 3D heavy shit or even global consciousness shit. So again, all of the pillaging, the raping, the murder, the mom guilt, okay? Parenting wasn't even a term until the 80s. And now mommy wars are totally a thing and we all know it. Prior to the 1980s, we're all like, okay, good, we got that one alive. That one stayed alive. And now it's like, do you breastfeed or formula feed? Did you have a home birth or a hospital birth? If you had a hospital birth, did you use drugs or did you have a cesarean? Was it a planned cesarean? Are you going to send them to public school? Are you going to homeschool? Are you vaccinating? Are you not vaccinating? Are you crunchy? Are you creamy? Are you jelly? And trust, I did this. My second baby, that's what all of that was, because I was decided to home birth him. I had anxiety from having my baby in the hospital, my first one. I don't want to do that again. And I was very embodied and understood that women had been birthing at home forever. And I have a very competitive streak. But I had to lighten up to be able to even do that. Like I literally had to just be like, hey guys, if you don't have something nice to say about me, in hypnobirthing, they teach you about your bubble of peace, okay? Like your bubble of peace, and unless people are on board with what you have, we don't need to talk about my baby. We don't need to talk about how I'm birthing. If you have anything besides like congratulations and I have support for you, we don't need to discuss that. And there's a whole myriad of other things we can talk about. Or you could just not see me until after I have my baby if it really bothers you that much. That's what they try to teach you. And it's so interesting to me how just those things helped prepare me for dealing with other things in life. I have this bubble of peace that's just always around me. I birthed my third baby at home by myself. My midwife showed up 15 minutes later. I don't know how to be super serious about births because I've never experienced a super traumatic birth. But I have helped countless of my clients who had their babies early, who had emergency C-sections, who lost their babies in the middle of the second trimester, all these crazy things that have happened to them. And I can have empathy for it because when I was doing the hypnobirthing, even though I wasn't consciously aware of it, I now realized that what I was doing was preparing, going back to the P, plan, right? Prepare, lighten up. I was preparing for all of the different situations, but I was making sure that I was still in a Zen space. So even if everything went wrong and I had to go into the hospital and they had to give me an actual emergency C-section, I wouldn't be pumping stress hormones into my baby during all of it. So lighten up. Your life isn't going to end unless you choose for it to. You could have everything ripped away from you. And if you're really that strong in your convictions, you're gonna find a new way. You're going to. So stop taking everything so fucking seriously. You also don't have to do it all in a day. What did I say? This is a long game, y'all. I know that it seems like we've already been playing a long game. This is a long game. You're getting little wins here and there. You're taking the bishop. You got the rook, but you still need to get to checkmate. We still got a while to checkmate. So are you going to get frustrated every time they take one of your pawns? Or are you going to sit here and realize, wait, hold on, I got both your knights and I got your rook. I'm about to get your queen. You only have a couple of pawns left. Well, they have a few of your pawns. Maybe they've got your bishop, right? If you guys don't play chess, you should look it up. I don't play that well, but it helps a lot. Okay, so plan, P-L-A-N, prepare, line up, action, action. Do you know how many people tell me that they think they're going to win the lottery as one of the way, like, oh, I'm open for money to come to me in any way. I'm going to win the lottery one day. And then I ask them, oh, when was the last time you bought a ticket? I live in Utah. So unless you like get into your car and drive for 3 hours in pretty much any direction, well, I guess 90 minutes to Wendover, 3 hours up to Evanston, Wyoming, there is no lottery in Utah. So you have to put in even more action and effort to be able to win the lottery in Utah. Okay, that's fine. Maybe you're an intuitive action person, but how many times do you have the thought and then instead of taking the action, you let your ego come in and be, oh, I don't know. It's because your ego is still really heavy and is still right there. So you have the thought and you're like, oh, that's stupid. Oh my God, that would be, oh no, never mind. Like you won't even let the entirety of the thought out before you're already smashing it. That's how you know that you have to lighten up. If you have multiple experiences of that during the day where you're like, that's a really good, oh no, I'm not, I'm just fucking stupid. You have a lot of inner work to do about that trust, okay? That inner trust inside of you. Again, with that action though, you could feel terrified. You could be like, this is really fucking stupid. I have no idea how I'm going to pay this woman. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to get to this conference that I just agreed to speak at, that she told me I have to get my own way there. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. Again, like we're taking those actions. You can be scared, but you get that little hint, that little like inner feeling in your belly, or maybe it's like a different, like softer voice in your head, or a little flutter of your heart, something that you're like, no, I got to do this. I have to do this. And you know that that's what that voice is because of the amount of times you can sit here and reflect as I'm saying this, that you didn't act and how much you regret that and how much work you had to do around the regret of not taking the action. So taking that action, when you are prompted to take the action, intuitive action is an instantaneous thing. Your intuition doesn't come in and tell you what to do next Thursday. Your intuition is working moment by moment. And it's working moment by moment because time is actually non-existent. Time is just a construct in our brain to help us sort of focus in 3D, but it's not real. And your intuition or your greater self doesn't know that what you're doing. It does, but if it gives you a moment, it's because there's a moment to be had right there. It may not make any sense to you why you're picking up the phone and calling that person when it's 3 a.m. where they are, but you do it anyway, and then you find out they've been up all night because of some situation, and you calling just helped them have a massive breakthrough. And now they're going to give you 10% of whatever it is that you helped them with. Or, having that inspired moment of something around the line, like last week I was talking about dream state marketing. All this stuff that was going on was somebody that I knew who was, turning into a massive hater, and that's fine. Like I said, haters going to hate. But then I allowed that to flip and turn into a marketing class that I'm going to be putting out at the end of this month on how I find my dream clients while I'm dreaming, using metaphysics, using astral projection, and using, spell casting. But I'm a light worker. Like I am a very highly advanced metaphysician. If I wanted to shadow magic everybody, trust me, I wouldn't be doing this, okay? And like I was talking about with the lighthouse, there's just like this innate trust that you have to have with lighthouses. Like you assume that the lighthouse isn't trying to slam you under the rocks, right? Like you just make that assumption that they're not trying to kill you. That is what going from the conscious, unconscious conversation up here to the super conversation, it takes an action. It takes a leap of like, okay, well, I'm going to jump this time and hopefully like, I don't see anything that I could land on. So this time I better learn how to soar. This time I got to learn how to fly. Okay. So you have to take the actions, intuitive actions. Now, what about not intuitive actions? What about actions that you say you're going to do? So prepare, lighten up, act. The last thing with a plan is you need notoriety. What do I mean by that? If you tell your bookkeeper that you're going to have all of January's expenses uploaded to QuickBooks by Thursday, you better have that shit done by Thursday. The universe, again, there's a lot of trust. There's just a lot of innate trust. And the vibration of you breaking your word tells the universe, oh, she broke her word about that, so I guess she doesn't want this other thing she asked for. Well, he told his colleague that he was going to do this, but then he didn't. So maybe I shouldn't bring him what he said, because does he really want it? So you have to create this very strong pillar of when you say you're going to do something, you fucking do it no matter what. You do it no matter what, because the only person that you are held accountable to really is yourself. We're all just mirrors for each other anyway. You're just playing a role that I need to see so my greater self can advance. And I'm just playing a role that you can see so your greater self can advance. So because we're all really Shiva, right? We're all really just the one. So each time you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're breaking trust. But you're not just breaking a trust in this 3D bond between you and your husband. You're breaking trust between you and yourself, because your husband is a projection of yourself for you to play with in this 3D. Again, I talk about the greater self in this every person. You're the person at the grocery store that pays for your groceries, the person who cuts you off in traffic. Every single stroke in life is a happening that you are creating so that you can remember something great about yourself, so you can learn a lesson, so you can move on, so you can serve your divine mission. So if all you're doing all day, every day is making a list of things to do and then not doing any of them, then you're just breaking your word to yourself. That's where that lighten up comes in. Do you know how many moms I know just have like a freaking to-do list that's this long, and by the end of the day, they've only gotten like 2 done and they feel like crap about themselves, so it just continues to weigh on them? But as soon as I teach them, you need to sit down and say, if I am in this timeline of, so we're planning. If I am in the timeline of being a leader of the free world, what are the 2 things that I absolutely have to get done today, April 5th, to stay in this timeline? And I write those down, and then I take a say, is there anything else? And maybe 1 or 2 other things pop up. But I know the first 2, I better have done those things by the time my head hits the pillow that night, or I'm no longer in the timeline where I'm going to be a leader of or at least not as easily, right? So you put them under containers. There's plenty of timelines where I become a leader of the free world, but there's a whole lot more suffering between here and there. Easy, efficiently, with little effort, fun, successful. All these things, like all the feelings I want to have while I'm doing it. Because yeah, there's a lot of arduous, shitty, depressing ways that people become leaders. But they're also fun, expansive. Like Donald Trump was having a lot of fun when he was running in 2016, y'all. Don't get it twisted. He was having a lot of fun. And honestly, the amount of fun he was having versus the amount of stress and like freak out Hillary was having, as far as I'm concerned, energetically, that's why he won. Because it didn't matter. He lightened up. He's like, holy shit, you guys are kind of crazy. You're gonna vote. Okay. Well, let's have some fun with this. What if I say something like that? Oh my God, you guys are listening to me? Okay. Instead of, okay, here's my, like Elizabeth Warren too. I have a plan for everything. I have a plan. Like that's too many things, Liz. We're getting inundated with your plans. We can't hold that many plans in our head at once. We can't even like plan our week out and keep to the schedule that we gave ourselves. So notoriety, that's holding yourself accountable in your own container. So don't make promises you can't keep. Or if you can't keep a promise, you better be checking yourself as to why, like the real reason why. Is the real reason why you always have tech issues because your higher self doesn't want you on Facebook at all, period, like delete your fucking account? Or is it because what you're about to talk about is something that the bots on Facebook don't really like to hear? So that's why you run it through Zoom and make sure that you have a downloadable version. Are you constantly telling your kids that you're gonna, okay, honey, I'll be there in a minute. I'm gonna go play. Like, I'm just gonna go inside real quick, go to the bathroom. I'll come out and play. Then you go to the bathroom, then you swap the laundry, and then you start making lunch. You do all this. Next thing you know, it's been an hour, and you haven't played with your kid. And you just broke your word to them. Yeah, you were doing important things, but you just made a promise that you broke. Then that's gonna make your children understand that adults shouldn't be trusted, that you can't be trusted. Then why on earth are they going to come and talk to you when they're 15 and they've gotten their girlfriend pregnant? They can't trust you. You're not a trustworthy person as far as they're concerned because of all the times when they were 8 waiting for you to go play with them and you kept telling them that you'd be out in a minute and you weren't. Or your clients wondering like, well, she says she's going to do this, but she never shows up. Like, I planned to sit her so that I could be here for her live stream and now she's not here. I really want to know what this woman has to say about making a plan, and her internet, like, she's not even telling us what's going on. I had an issue earlier today, but at least I was trying to tell you guys, like, this is what's happening. For some reason, this isn't working. Yeah. Go back and read the 4 agreements, right? That's what it takes to plan, guys. Yesterday was a big reset day. It was the beginning of phase 2. If you want to know more about what the heck I'm talking about there, go and watch my live stream yesterday. For those of you who are going to be watching this on YouTube later, you can go over to the Dragon Magic channel and check it out there. The reason why I'm telling you all this is because we still have so much work to do. There are so many people that each time we have a big day like this, all they're talking about is decorating the inside of the mansion. I need more people out here building scaffolding. I need more people who understand the construction part is still happening. This plan doesn't get to go through if we don't have people all over the planet sitting in leadership roles, C-suite executives, the leaders of industry. You think about green cars, you think about my client. You think about beauty, you think about my client. You think about writing, you think about my client. Not because I need to be the one in charge of them, but because those are the people that I'm attracting, because I already know how to embody being a leader in the 5th dimension. I understand exactly who I am, what I am, and how I serve, because my leadership position is to help other leaders recognize that it's okay to be woo-woo and witchy and metaphysical and be out loud. To be the mayor, to be the president, to be the governor, to be in parliament, to be the CEOs, the CFOs. Even if you're just the CEO and CFO of your own company, that's fine. It still takes leadership. Even if you're the CEO and CFO of your family, because you know that one of your kids is absolutely going to cure cancer. But you can't stand them. That's what I mean by the foresight. You said they're channeling and you're like, little Johnny, and what do I need to do about little Johnny? And you switch your pen and you go to answer and your higher self answers. And it's like, little Johnny is going to cure cancer one day. You need to love him. So now you have the foresight. But little Johnny is a total fucking asshole. So you're still very nearsighted right here. That's when the planning comes in. Oh, can I lighten up? What about it makes little Johnny such an asshole? And then you realize it's all these things about your parents, all these things that you would, there's like this jealousy that you never would have been able to get away with that shit. So why should I let him? That's another thing that our parents do to us, right? They say, well, when you grow up, I hope you have a kid just as bad as you are. And then what do? Like your first kid is exactly like you, right? I don't know about you, but that's how it seems to be. The first one is exactly like one of the parents. My oldest is exactly like me at that, like exactly like me. And I have to tell him, I'm like, the reason why I know is because you have not yet figured out anything that by that age I hadn't figured out. All right. I recognized years ago that my style of new leadership was not accepted by previous ways. Yeah. So because of this, though, you still have to figure out how can you integrate into this scaffolding, right? Again, we don't know how many of our jobs are going to actually exist to go back to. We don't know how many of our bosses are like, maybe I can just not have to pay rent on a building. Maybe I can have my whole business just in one floor of an office building instead of 7. We don't know, which is why right now you get to play and prepare for all ways. Okay, if I want to do this in the next 6 months, I'm going to play with what that would look like if I know for sure I'm going back to work, or if I know for sure my kids are going back to school. Because that's another thing, like, is the public school system even going to exist? They're only doing 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day of any of this schoolwork stuff. How many of you are finding some of the stuff your kids are learning? You're like, really? They're teaching you this shit? You literally never use this. So then you have to then you can go that way. Okay, if it goes back to normal, that's what it's going to look like. And then you can go and look if it's going to not. If things stay exactly as they are, and my kids never go back to school, and I homeschool, but I'm talking about you. My kids never go back to school, or my husband never goes back to work because his office decides to only become telecommuting. How am I still going to continue with my dream of being mayor? And then what if things go even crazier? Again, you can play. That's the beauty of your mind. That's the beauty of understanding multi-dimensions. That's the awesomeness of learning from different timelines, which takes working in the superconscious. That takes lightening up. You cannot be bogged down by logical 3D materialistic science ways of thinking. So you have to open up to quantum physics. You have to open up to the ideas of time, space. You have to open your mind up to understanding that 95% of what you do is unconsciously controlled by the fact that you don't have a unified will, because you're only consciously ever using 5% of your brain. And you have to take the actions. Once you have all the plans and you're realizing, okay, well, I'm still at home. What actions okay, I made this plan. What do I need to do? You have to do them. You have to take those actions. Each day, taking an action. Even if you just take your to-do list from 200 things, 20 things down to 2 things. I'm telling you, moms, if you get 2 things done every single day that you said that you would do, even if your whole to-do list is only those 2 things, you will start feeling like a better mother. You will start feeling like a better wife. You will start feeling like a better person because you know that you got shit done, because you didn't overload yourself, and the things that you said you were going to do, you fucking did them. Because as you take that action and you build that notoriety with yourself, that's what's going to build trust with your followers. That's your followers, the people who choose to follow you. I don't know if Jesus ever considered his followers, right? They were just following him around and he was still doing his work. Real leaders don't consider themselves greater or more than the people that choose to follow them. They just recognize that they're doing the shit first and other people are catching on. But other people aren't going to catch on if you keep changing, if you keep rebranding, if you keep using different words, if you keep creating something awesome and then tearing it down because it didn't work out the way you wanted, because you're still afraid of failure, because you're afraid of all this other stuff. This is why investing in yourself with a mentor who teaches leadership is quintessential. No one is teaching leadership this way because no one has led this way. I'm taking on clients right now who can't even run for office until 2024. We don't know what the government is going to look like in 2024, but they are still in the knowing that right now they're going to run for Senate. Right now they're going to run for House. Right now they're going to run for whatever. They know that they can't run for city council for 2 more years. They can't do this, they can't do that. Oh, but next year's the school board. Those are the clients that are coming to me right now because they can only work with what they know. And as things change and shift, if all of the states merge together and we no longer have a state, we only have a giant world, then we will come to that bridge and cross it when we come to it. But we can't overwhelm ourselves and try to cross every bridge right now because we don't even know what bridges are out there. Bilbo Baggins, Lord of the Rings, he's literally just taking it one step at a time, one day at a time. It's like Anna in Frozen, just do the next right thing, right? You can only, like, you have to have the foresight out here. You have to be able to see. You have to be so farsighted that you're nearsighted, right? So farsighted out there that you're like, okay, that's where I'm going, but this is how I get there because I'm not blocked. I'm staying in my own lane, but I'm not totally blinded. I'm not just like this, not taking in new information. It's more like this, right? Where I can kind of see. But for the most part, I'm focused. But if something over here that is relevant to me can come into my field, right? And I can use it and tweak it and change the energy into what I need to prepare me forward. Same thing with like flying, right? If you're flying, quantum flight is what I teach. I don't teach you how to quantum leap. I teach you how to quantum soar. If you're flying, you have a flight path, right? You're in an airplane. Your pilot has put in a flight path. There's a general direction in the sky that people know, the air towers know you're going to be there and other airplanes know you're going to be there. But a pilot also has to be able to take back control of the plane, has to be able to see what's going on, has to be able to make corrections if necessary, has to be able to make emergency landings. There's a reason why planes, we're not talking about self-flying planes yet. We're still only talking about self-driving cars, and even that is up for many places of debate in a lot of ways, right? But you couldn't have the self-driving car if someone didn't think about it first. Remember how everyone figured by 2000 robots would be ruling the planet? Now we think it's going to be closer to, 2200. Not really. So that's what I have for you today. Plan, prepare, lighten up, act, have some notoriety. You have to keep your word. The most important thing in this new golden age is keeping your word. Your word has to be impeccable. You must be impeccable with your word because you are word. Remember, in the beginning there was the word, and the word was God. Well, if you are God, then you are the word. You gotta keep it. You have to have that notoriety if you're going to be a leader. You have to have that trust. So I'm going to go. I was on the computer all day yesterday. I'm shutting down for the day. I'll be back tomorrow. I love you all. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, share, comment. I will see you all next week. Oh, one little piece of upkeep. If you guys want to know where I'm at, I did just open the Dragon Gateway. This is a mighty network. It's a new platform. It's where all of my courses, where all of my everything is going to be. It's where everything's going to be. I don't have a way of streaming there, but I will be, the YouTube channels are posted in there. So you can always catch these afterwards on the replay on YouTube. I upload these. I'll still be coming live in Facebook for these, but if you guys don't see me so much on Facebook anymore, it's because I'm over there in the Mighty Network at the Dragon's Gateway. So go hang out with me over there. Instagram, I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye. I love you. Thanks so much for being here. Eek. And Facebook, y'all have a beautiful, beautiful day, and I will see you very soon. I am sure. Have a good day. I love you.